ESPN, the Special Events Television Network, presents the Freedlander 200 NASCAR Busch Grand National Series event. This SETN NASCAR Racing Special is brought to you by Goodyear Eagles. You either have Goodyear Eagles or you need them. And by Quaker State. The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. And by Champion Copper Plus, the spark plug with the extra margin of performance. And by Alugard. Look for and buy brands containing the Alugard premium quality antifreeze formula. And by Mr. Goodwrench. No one knows your GM car better than Mr. Goodwrench. No one. And we welcome you to our SETN Broadcast Center here at the Richmond Fairgrounds Raceway. I'm Eli Gold. Today, the Freedlander 200, and it's a big event on the Busch Grand National Series, simply because the points championship battle is as tight now as it's been all season long. Jack Ingram, along with Brett Bodine and Larry Pearson, all within shouting distance of the season-long championship. Joining me on the broadcast today is another Bodine, the man who was the champion of the 1986 Daytona 500, and a man who used this Busch Series as a stepping stone, Jeff Bodine. Good to see you, Jeff.
Thank you, Eli. I sure did use the Grand National Series. Back when I raced it, it was called Sportsman Series, but I used it to get experience for the Winston Cup Series.
You know, you take a look at the second generation, and in some instance, third generation drivers. Bodine, Brett, your younger brother, is on the front row, as Bob Euchre might say. Names like Pearson and Allison, Earnhardt, a second-generation driver, they're all here as part of this Freedlander 200.
Well, that's right, and it is a good way to get experience, Eli, on the tracks, in this type of car, especially just experience on these tracks that the Winston Cup cars drive on all year long.
But just because you have a famous last name does not make it an automatic entree into Winston Cup racing, as you well know.
Well, it sure doesn't. You know, I got my start that way, and I have a brother, Brett, that's out there trying to get experience, and I think we have a Pearson out there that's trying to get some experience and exposure the same way I did, and I think we have an interview with Larry right now.
It's awful hard to run, you know, with my name, especially when I first started running, but, you know, everybody expected me to go out and win races and have top-notch equipment. But, you know, if you put a rookie driver in a first-class car, then he's not going to do as well. You know, I had to learn, take my bumps and my licks and all that, and get experience. That's the main thing. But, you know, now that I'm established in this division, then, you know, it's not too bad. The pressure's not really on me right now.
Even though he has that famous Pearson name and probably a lot of pressure to move up into the Winston Cup division, seems like Larry's pretty content to stay right where he's at.
It sounds that way. Now, on the other side of the ledger, another guy with a famous last name is Davey Allison. There are more Allisons in racing than you can probably shake a stick at. Davey has always wanted Winston Cup racing, and it looks as though he's got the deal for next year being vacated by Cale Yarborough.
Well, it's real exciting. I've been bouncing around like a little kid on Christmas morning ever since last weekend. And, you know, I'm just looking forward to getting started next year with the Rainier Lundy racing team, and hopefully we can pick up a sponsor pretty soon. And I think Joey Knuckles has been doing a super job down there.
Eli, I can remember when I was that excited when I got my first Winston Cup ride, that phone call from Cliff Stewart. Unbelievable, the excitement, the adrenaline that's flowing. You just can't wait to get started.
Another Winston Cup racer, Davey Allison from Hueytown. As soon as we come back to Richmond, Virginia, we'll bring you the starting lineup. Stay with us.
Take me back.
I'm Eli Gold with Jeff Bodine. We'll be hearing from Dr. Jerry Punch shortly. He's covering action on pit road. Jeff, your brother is on the pole today. Is it more advantageous starting on the pole on a short track as opposed to a super speedway?
Oh, it certainly is, especially on a track like Richmond. It's tight, very hard to pass. You want to start up front and try to stay up front all day long. And we have Jerry in the pits right now with Brett on some of his pre-race thoughts.
Brett put out into 00, first time ever at this racetrack, Brett. A brand new track qualify record on the pole. But can you stay there? It's an awful tough field behind you.
Well, Jerry, everybody's running real strong, and especially here in the Busch Grand National Division, the competition's real tough. And with a tire rule here today, without being able to change on the caution, you've got to really kind of conserve yourself early in the race. So if somebody comes up and gets real rambunctious, wants to lead this thing, you'll probably see me drop back a little bit. There's no need to tax the car early in the race. You got to be around here at Richmond at the end to win it, and that's what we plan on doing.
How about the fuel situation? Can you run 200 laps in your V6 on a tank of fuel?
it's really going to depend on how many caution flags there are early. If there's a bunch of caution flags, we might be able to go the way. It's just going to have to see how the race unfolds, and we're going to have to make a lot of decisions during the race.
Well, that's a young pole sitter, Brett Bodine, 26-year-old from Chemung, New York. Tires may be a factor. Fuel may be the critical factor here as we get ready for the Freedlander 200.
Brett's in the right spot to start the race, Eli. Let's see if he can stay there.
What happens on a short track, though, Jeff? Is it just seat of the pants driving to know how much you can lean on the next guy and how much you can expect to get leaned on?
Well, you can expect to get leaned on a lot, especially on a track like Richmond, and your competition expects you to lean back, too.
Well, we'll find out about all the leaning and beating and banging as we continue. But right now, let's just take some time to meet the starting lineup for today's Freedlander 200. One of the more famous cars on the Busch Grand National Series, it's the Thomas Brothers Exxon Oldsmobile for Harrisburg, North Carolina's Brett Bodine, a brand new track qualifying record. And from Ridgway, Virginia, Jimmy Hensley. By just 2 points, he missed the Busch Series championship a year ago.
Starting in the second row is Tommy Houston, car number 6, in the Southern Biscuit Buick. And alongside of Tommy is Winston Cup regular Dale Earnhardt, car number 8, in the Goodrich Chevrolet.
In row number 3, fifth starting spot is second-generation driver Larry Pearson, currently in the third spot in the Busch Series points, the Chattanooga Chew Pontiac. And another second-generation driver from Hickory, North Carolina, Dale Jarrett. His Nationwide Pontiac starts 6th, qualifying at 96.642 miles an hour.
Starting 7th is Elton Sawyer from Virginia Beach, Virginia, in the Ream Bill Lewis Chevrolet. Alongside of Eldon is Mike Porter, car number 3, from Princeton, West Virginia, in the Adventureland Video Pontiac.
In row number 5, a Canadian who was formerly crew chief for Richard Petty, Larry Pollard, in his Pontiac, starting 9th. And starting in the 10th spot for today's Freedlander 200, a former Busch Series champion, L.D. Ottinger from Newport, Tennessee, the All-Pro Auto Parts Pontiac. That's your top 10.
Starting 11th, we have Joe Henry Thurman. Next to him is car number 11, Jack Ingram. In row 7 is Rick Mask and Robert Ingram Jr.
Tommy Ellis and Steve Grissom make up row 8. Row number 9 is Bosco Lowe and Ronnie Silver.
Row number 10 is up-and-coming Kenny Burke. Alongside of him is Haskell Willingham. Row 11 is Bob Shreves and Jimmy Lawson.
Starting in the 23rd spot, Charlie Luck and Davey Allison, while Milton, Vermont's Bobby Dragon starts alongside Dickie Boswell in row 13.
Row 14, we have Orville Reedy. Alongside Orville is Darrell Lack. Row 15 is John Limbo and Michael Williams.
And filling out the starting field of 32 cars, Ed Berrier and Joe Glenn Harrison. And that's the starting field for today's Freedlander 200. It is a beautiful afternoon for racing. Bobby Scruggs is the Busch Series flagman atop the starter stand here at the Richmond Fairgrounds Raceway. The Series Points Championship very much up for grabs here today as the season begins to wind its way down, Jeff. You've got Jack Ingram, a many-time Series champion, along with your brother Brett Bodine and Larry Pearson, and it's on these bull ring type of racetracks where championships in this division are often won.
I'll tell you, Eli, every race is very important, but when you get on these bull rings, these tight tracks like Richmond here, you have to finish. You have to be careful, but you want to run fast. You want to run up front. You want to win the race, but you've got to always be thinking about points, and it's a tough way to race.
This racetrack here over the years has seen some awfully fine performances from some gentlemen who are starting back in the field. Tommy Ellis from right here in Richmond in the Freedlander Pontiac. He starts 15th as the field has been given the 1-to-go signal. The lights are out the top of the Pontiac safety car. So we'll watch Tommy Ellis making his move from the middle of the pack. Names like Davey Allison, the Miller American Buick, not qualifying quite as well as he would like, so Davey will be charging up from 24th starting position. So sit back, relax, and enjoy SETN's coverage of the Freedlander 200, the Green Fairgrounds Raceway, Richmond, Virginia, with Jeff Bodine and Dr. Jerry Punch. I'm Eli Gold, set to go racing. The 00 on the pole is Brett Bodine. Jimmy Hensley alongside in car number 63. 200 laps on the half mile here at Richmond Fairgrounds Raceway. Bobby Scruggs on the flag stand. Lets him fly, and we're underway here at Richmond. And quickly, Brett Bodine makes a move to the inside. Gets the groove against Jimmy Hensley. Dale Earnhardt settles in third. Fourth is Tommy Houston. Everybody cleanly through the corner. And Jeff Brett cut through the gearbox in a hurry. Pulls off to as comfortable a lead as one can hope to have here at Richmond.
Well, that's for sure. He's out there right now, but I'm sure everyone's just feeling the track out, Eli. You can see how slippery that track looks. It's really bad. You don't want to get out of the groove here at Richmond. You're going to slide up and bump the wall. So I'm sure everyone's just settling down and feeling their cars out, making sure everything's okay.
All the way back to Tommy Ellis, who we had talked about earlier, basically single file. Tommy had sucked out of line just a moment to try and pick off a spot, but still Brett Bodine, Jimmy Hensley, Dale Earnhardt, then Tommy Houston and Larry Pearson in that order. Just underway here at Fairgrounds Raceway, Richmond, Virginia, the Busch Grand National Series Freedlander 200. The front four now beginning to pull away. And still, Jeff, nobody basically making a move. L.D. Ottinger now running 8th in line. He is trying to tighten things up, but everyone seems to be feeling out the racetrack, as you said.
Well, they really are. It is a tough racetrack, Eli, to get around. It's very hard to pass. Really, I guess the only way you can make a pass is to get up in there and bump somebody and get them out of the groove. And it looks like Brett is getting a little too high there through the corners, and that could leave an opening for Jimmy or Dale to get by.
Jimmy Hensley, you see car number 63, trying to make an inside move against Brett Bodine. Again, looking inside, but he can't quite pull it off going into the corner. But Brett Bodine getting a bit higher in the turns. It's got to be awfully tantalizing for that driver, whether you should or shouldn't go for it.
Well, you know, here at Richmond, if you don't go for it, you don't win. Somebody gets high, if there's an opening, you go for it. That's usually why you see some bumping and grinding out there, some fender banging, because the guy that's out in front, if he slips a little bit, he tries to recover, he tries to close that hole off, and there's Earnhardt going inside of Hensley into turn 3. It looks like he's got it. Yeah, he does.
So Dale Earnhardt makes a quick move, grabs a spot going into the corner. Jimmy Hensley back in third now. Tommy Houston holding down the 4th spot.
Well, that was a great move, Eli. It looked like Dale was getting a real good bite off of the second corner, and that was enabling him to scoot up underneath Jimmy.
And there's problems here on the front straightaway. Problems here on the front stretch as 3 cars get together quickly to bring out the caution flag. Orville Reedy in the 08. Dickie Boswell in the 01, and just pulling away is John Linville from Kernersville in car number 43. Boswell, and there again Orville Reedy. Those 3 cars got tangled up coming out of the number 4 corner, and we are under caution for the first time today. It comes out on lap number 8 with a 3-car incident. That's one thing about a track like this. Every time we've seen it, it's rare you have a 1-car incident. Everybody's on top of you before you know it.
There is no place to go here, Eli. If a car spins out, there is no place to go to get away from that. The track, you can see how slippery it is up on the outside and down low going into that first corner. If someone spins around and you get up in that slippery stuff, you're going to lose it. You just try to sneak by the best you can, but there's guardrails inside and out, and you can see that he's got some front end damage there. I don't know if he's going to get back out there or not. They're going to try to tear off some of that sheet metal and loose stuff.
That's John Linville, car number 43, that they're attending to now. You see the Busch Series inspectors, along with Linville's crew from Kernersville, North Carolina.
Well, they won't let him out there unless they can get that car safe where that sheet metal won't fall off and leave some debris on the tracks for the other cars to run over. They're going to have to take about the whole front end off, I think, Eli, to make it safe, though.
And that time, you see, the official wouldn't let him go. But while they work on the Linville car, we're back to green flag racing here as Brett Bodine, still in the lead, car 00, pulls off Dale Earnhardt. Jimmy Hensley on the restart is back in third. Tommy Houston 4th. Larry Pearson 5th. Dale Jarrett is 6th. L.D. Ottinger running up in the 7th spot. You know, it's a kind of situation here where Brett Bodine wants to use this race to again show his wares to all the Winston Cup competitors, car owners, crew chiefs, and so on. But we were talking earlier, and we asked Brett whether he gets breaks because he's a Bodine.
Not at all. You know, they want to go by my performance, not just because I'm Jeff's younger brother, and they know what his performances can do. And it's just a matter of time of gaining experience on the speedways and gaining the respect of all the car owners down there in the Winston Cup garage area before I'll get a good offer. And I believe it's just around the corner if I can just keep maintaining the pace we're going, especially on the speedways.
And Jeff, your brother has a tough cookie right there behind him in Dale Earnhardt.
That's right, and I'm really impressed the way Dale's running here. You know, it's awful hard to just jump into this Busch Grand National Division once in a while and run good, but Brett's giving him an opening on the inside of those corners, and if you got a guy like Dale Earnhardt behind you, you can't give him anything because he's going to get up in there and take it.
Super racing here at Richmond. Jimmy Hensley was trying to take advantage of Earnhardt's moves as Dale tried to get by the 00 of Brett Bodine. Is it that much difficulty to adjust from a 3,700-pound Winston Cup car to these 3,000-pound Busch Series cars? The guys at home, as the leaders go through race traffic, the folks at home might have a difficult time understanding what 700 pounds out of 3,000 really means.
It means a lot, but really, Eli, it's a lot harder to go from the Busch Grand National cars, which are lighter, to the heavier cars, and boy, it's getting exciting here. Earnhardt's getting up in this lap traffic with Brett, and this is where at Richmond it gets real exciting. Whoa, a little bumping.
A little bumping there. They move past that barrier, and Earnhardt takes advantage of the 05 car of barrier to sneak past the 00 of Brett Bodine. A new leader here in Richmond, Virginia, Dale Earnhardt in the Goodwrench Pontiac takes the way. Brett Bodine is second. That man, Dale Earnhardt, has just taken the lead here in Richmond in the Freedlander 200 for the NASCAR Busch Grand National Division. Eli Gold with Jeff Bodine and Dr. Jerry Punch. And Earnhardt, he's just taken advantage of that lap traffic a few moments ago. Jeff, he's pulled away.
He's pulling away real easily. I'm very impressed with the way Dale's running. He has that car hooked up real good. He's staying low in the corners. That's what you have to do here at Richmond, is stay low and get back into the power hard.
It's amazing, too, once you get free of race traffic. Oh, there are troubles in the corner. Trouble now off turn 2 and heading down the backstretch. 3 cars get together. A 4th car. 5 cars now tied together. As everybody, there's Kenny Burks hitting Haskell Willingham, the number 90 car. And all of a sudden, the corner turns into a giant-sized parking lot, Jeff. Again, the classic example of when one guy gets in trouble, he's going to take a host of fellas with him.
That's for sure. There's not enough room to come off that corner 2 or 3 wide, and it looked like Brett got up outside of a couple lap cars there. Eli couldn't really see exactly what happened, but he got pinched up against the wall, and then everyone just kept coming in there and running into him.
Car 64, Darrell Lax. The 90 is Haskell Willingham, and Willingham was tooling along. Let's watch it again here, as those cars were the original 4 to get involved. There's Lax, Linville's machine. Moving to the inside, Tommy Houston and the 2 car of L.D. Ottinger. They're sneaking by. 32 is Dale Jarrett. Larry Pearson. Man, that hole closed in a heartbeat. The 08 of Orville Reedy. Now, if we stay with it long enough, we'll also see as Elton Sawyer sneaks through the inside.
That's Charlie Luck going through the grass trying to miss everything.
Now watch this here. If we stay with it just a bit longer, you'll see the 90 car. Haskell Willingham come into the picture. There he is. Watch Kenny Burks. Bang. Gives him the spinning move, and that collects 2 more cars. So all of a sudden, you're right in the middle of a mess, and in the case of Willingham and the Kenny Burks car, Jeff, they were near the start-finish line when the accident first began to unfold in the corner.
Well, that's a shame, Eli. The caution lights were definitely out. The yellow flag was waving. Kenny just went in there and ran into the back of that other car and spun him around. You try not to have those things happen, but sometimes they do. You just can't see far enough ahead.
Everybody was able to pull away and head down pit road, so we are quickly back to green. And Dale Earnhardt retains the lead. He's got Tommy Houston. Relatives by marriage, by the way, Earnhardt and Houston I. Then Dale Jarrett, Larry Pearson. Elton Sawyer is currently in 5th.
Tommy's car looks real good, Eli. At this point, Dale Jarrett's right behind, Larry Pearson. It looks like they're just settling down. You know, the tires here at Richmond take quite a beating, and they're not allowed to change tires on the caution. So I'm sure all the Busch Grand National regular drivers are being real careful with their tires right at this point of the race, just trying to run with Dale and Tommy, but not abuse their car and their tires.
Do you know exactly how hard you can push it? Do you feel the car might be being punished just a bit?
Well, that's up to the driver. That's part of the driver's job, Eli, is to tell how hard he can run the car, to run it hard enough.
Larry Pollard right there. Larry Pollard catching the wall, coming off the corner. You see the right front tire is down and gone. So he'll be heading to pit road. Larry, as we mentioned at the outset, formerly a crew chief for Richard Petty, and right there, again, 3 cars get together. Orville Reedy, Ed Berrier's car, and 2 others that managed to pull away. So again, multiple car incidents as the field begins to slow and work themselves under caution here yet again. But there's Larry Pollard, a tough break. But that wall will come out and grab you here at Richmond.
It will. It reaches right out. Drivers always say that wall will reach out and grab you. They never say they get into the wall. They always try to blame it on a wall reaching out and getting them.
Well, of course. Mrs. Pollard did not raise a fool here. Let's see what the Nally's Carolina crew can do for Larry. He's had an up and down time of it this year. Last year, basically a rookie. Watch them. You see them prying the car up so as to get the jack beneath the car when the tire is down as it is, and gone in this case. They weren't able to get the jack underneath the car. Hoods are up, repairs continue, and we continue from Richmond Fairgrounds Raceway. So far, it's Dale Earnhardt's show after having taken the lead from Brett Bodine. Stay tuned. We're coming right back with Jeff Bodine and Dr. Jerry Punch. I'm Eli Gold. The lights are out atop the safety car. We're about set to go to green flag racing again after caution flag number 4 of the afternoon. And so far, Jeff, it's been all Dale Earnhardt.
It sure has, but these restarts, boy, you always get scared on a restart. Especially this Richmond track is so narrow, but everything looks okay right at the moment.
So the field comes off the corner with green flag. Mike Porter. Porter is out of shape. He tags the outside. Now the inside retaining wall. Collects 4, 5. Got to be a dozen cars in there. Mike Porter tagged first the outside, then exactly what you said, Jeff. He came off the corner. Everybody seemed to get pinched up against the side. Porter's car was like the silver ball inside the pinball machine, banking back and forth, and there's the aftermath. Holy mackerel.
That track is blocked, Eli. I've never seen a wreck this bad.
Let's count them there. Obviously, the caution flag out for the 5th time. 9, 10, looks like 11 cars as best I can count right now. John Linville there, 43, trying to weasel his way out of the corner.
Look at that. That looks like a demolition derby to me, Eli.
Looks like the Long Island Expressway at 5 in the afternoon.
It could very well be, and boy, I see a car in there I hate to see, that 00.
Yeah. There's Davey Allison surveying the Miller American Buick. Mike Porter, his car was the first one to seemingly get out of shape. The driver from Princeton, West Virginia. Let's watch it again. Let's see if we've called it even correctly. Porter is the 3 car, the silver and black car, currently 3rd in line coming into the middle of your screen.
He just slid up the racetrack, and I can't see who he cut off there, but
yeah, that's Porter.
He got sideways and got into the outside wall, and here he hits the inside wall.
Look at the impact on that guardrail.
Well, it just shot him right back out in front of everyone, Eli.
Man, he collects Larry Pollard, the 98. There's John Linville, who takes out Davey Allison. Charlie Luck in the 45. Tommy Ellis in the middle of that mess. Dale Jarrett has nowhere to go in the 32. What does a driver do in a situation like that? I mean, you come off the corner. Have you ever been in a situation similar to that with as many cars involved in a mess in which you've been part?
I've been in a lot of wrecks, but I don't believe I've ever been in one like that where the track was completely blocked. Those fellas had nowhere to go.
That's Ronnie Silver's car. The only way to get out of that mess is to back up.
Eli, in that kind of condition, you just try to slow down, try to find a hole to get through it. Just hope nobody runs into you.
Jerry Punch has made his way down to the trackside. He's with Davey Allison. Jerry?
Out of his mangled Miller Buick, and Davey, the car too torn up to continue. What happened out there?
Well, we come off the corner down there, and a couple of lap cars, they just, I don't know what, the guys are just driving crazy again, and they run all over each other, and just big mess in front of me. I couldn't dodge it. I tried to get through, and the number 3 car came back across the track in front of me and pinched me in the outside wall.
Davey Allison, just one of 11 drivers involved in a massive crash here at the start-finish line early in the Freedlander 200.
Jerry will continue to get the updates from trackside. They have put out the red flag, as well you can guess. For those of you who are not familiar with racing terms, that means the race will be brought to a halt. They are getting those cars that can to continue to the backstretch where they will park them. Now, the rules do say, however, that those cars that are in the pit area or in the garage cannot be worked on during a red flag. So those who have already been removed from the track area cannot be worked on until the race is put back under caution. But right now, there's Brett Bodine, the 00. The 12 is Tommy Ellis's car from right here in Richmond. Mike Porter's car was still up against the wall, and here come the healthy few that are able to continue. Remarkable.
It sure is. You know, that accident started in the front of the pack. I'm surprised anyone made it through that kind of accident, Eli. There's Tommy Ellis going backwards down the racetrack to get into his pit area.
There's Rick Mast, car 22. He's from Rockbridge, Baths, Virginia, the 8D Dillard machine. Tommy Ellis's crew going to work on the Freedlander financial entry.
Looks like Tommy should be able to get going. With the red flag out, though, Eli, they can't work on that car, so they're going to have to wait till the yellow comes back out before they can fix it.
And there you see the field has been brought to a halt. I see Jerry getting close to your brother, Brett Bodine. Looking at that car, you don't think he'd be able to continue. That's Dale Earnhardt inside of his GM Goodwrench car. Let's go to Jerry Punch. He and Brett Bodine are surveying the damage.
Brett Bodine has climbed out of his mangled Thomas Brothers Country Ham Oldsmobile, and Brett, the car looks heavily damaged. You were involved. What happened out there?
Well, it looked like the number 3 car, Mike Porter, got turned around, and you know, here at Richmond, this front straightaway is awful narrow, and the guys behind us couldn't see it happening. You try to slow down. I had my hand up, but everybody behind us kind of just run over. It's just one of them things that happens, and you just got to put your car back there and come back next week.
Well, next week, though, but you're running out of time in this very close point battle between you and Jack Ingram.
Yeah, that's definitely going to hurt us, but, you know, we just got to get things back together and go racing again. We can't be worrying about the points, and just had a shot at the win today, sat on the pole with a new record. And, you know, you got to look at the right side of things, and that's what it is this week.
So that's the update there. I don't know if they'll be able to get that car back in action or not. We are still under the red flag here at Richmond, an 11-car accident seemingly triggered by Mike Porter's car. Jerry's with him now.
We've got Mike Porter, who's climbed out of a mangled car. Mike, your car the heaviest damaged of all. You were in the middle of this thing. What happened out there? First of all, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. You know, I don't really know what happened. They let a bunch of slow cars, that doubling up stuff, you know. They do it in the Winston Cup racing, and everybody understands what's going on. In this racing, some guy doubled up with 2 laps to go, you know, down the inside. All right, I was down a lap, you know, trying to make my lap up. I try to get up there, you know, they say don't pass them on the left, pass them on the right. You try to pass them on the right, they run you up in a guardrail. So when the race started back, you know, I went up, you know, to pass Joe Thurman on the outside, you know, to try to make my lap back, and somebody hit me in the rear. I don't know who it was. They said Elton Sawyer hit me in the rear. Maybe it was, you know, whoever. We turned it sideways, and then it's from there, it was just bam, bam, bam.
Looks like the car is pretty hurt pretty bad.
Oh, it's totaled. It's tore all to pieces, you know. That's just thank God nobody got hurt, and we got another race car, so we'll just go on from here.
Well, a philosophical Mike Porter exits here at the Freedlander 200.
Well, it's a high-priced parking lot right there in the garage area now. We'll be back to update you further and hopefully get back to green flag racing before much longer. However, we are currently under the red flag. Under caution here at the Richmond Fairgrounds Raceway. While we were away, they've cleaned up the debris and let the field begin rolling again. So we have not obviously gone back to green flag racing. From inside Larry Pollard's car, our C-Cam, the SETN in-car camera. Do you have any problem now getting yourself back in gear mentally, Jeff, after being involved in a mess like that?
Well, you're always thinking, you know, can it happen again? That's what you don't want to happen. But no, some fellas it takes a while to get back in the groove, Eli, but guys like Earnhardt and Houston and Dale Jarrett, they can get right back to racing with no problem at all. Jack Ingram's in third, I think, right now, so there should be no problem on this restart.
The black and silver car, Dale Earnhardt. The blue and white is Elton Sawyer. The green and white is Jack Ingram. As those front 3 cars take the green and everyone follows suit, we're back to racing action here in Richmond, Virginia. And very quickly, Earnhardt pulls away. Sawyer being forced to the outside of Haskell Willingham's car. That's going to allow Ingram, or at least Earnhardt, to pull away even more so. One car slowing just a bit off the corner, Jimmy Lawson. Everybody giving everybody a little extra room now.
They sure are, Eli. They don't want another pile-up like just happened. Right now, that track is a little slippery going into this first corner. You saw Earnhardt slide that first lap. but it'll take a few laps for that to clean up.
Looked as though Jack Ingram was making an inside move there. Jack Ingram's going to be heading down pit road, an unscheduled stop here. Owen Edwards and the crew will be going to work on the Skoal Bandit. Right side tires and a fill of Unocal gasoline. The Goodyear Eagles going on.
You know, that's a problem, Eli. After an accident like that, debris on the track, the track cleaners try to get everything picked up, but Jack might have run over a piece of debris from that accident and got a flat tire.
Tough break there. Meanwhile, this has allowed Dale Earnhardt to further pad his lead. Car number 2, L.D. Ottinger, trying to get around the lapped car of Haskell Willingham. Willingham, a former dirt track driver. He ran awfully well at Road Atlanta earlier this year when the Busch Series went to the road course for the first time in their history.
L.D. made a nice pass on him. You know, every time they come down that front straightaway, Eli, you see all those skid marks in the racetrack.
Look at your brother. That's Brett Bodine, Jerry Kinnan, and the rest of the Thomas Brothers Country Hams crew, the Exxon Motor Oil team, trying to get the car back. And at this point, with the point championship being as tight as it is, they've got to get back. Even if they finish 25th, that's still points that they wouldn't rack up here.
Well, that's right. It looked like, sounded like Brett wasn't going to try to get back into the race, but right there, it sure looks like they're trying to. They're cutting some debris off the car and trying to fix everything back so they can get back out there. And there, Dale Earnhardt was exiting turn 2. Eli, you can see how rough this track is. That's probably the roughest part of the Richmond track, is exiting turn 2.
Third place runner, number 6, Tommy Houston. Bosco Lowe is behind him before you get to Jimmy Hensley's car. Although Bosco, car number 27, is not on the lead lap. There's the leader, Dale Earnhardt. Number 42, the white and blue car, Elton Sawyer, second. Jack Ingram, number 11, back on the track after service, trailing Larry Pollard into the corner. Larry carrying, again, our in-car camera, the C-Cam. They're working around Robert Ingram Jr. in the Ramada Inns machine. It's critical getting off the corners here, too, and it seems as though some of these guys are having a tough time getting a good bite off the turns.
That's where you make your initial pass, Eli. You try to get your car up underneath the other car, off the corner, take his racing groove away from him as he enters the corner. So it's real critical to have your car set up to accelerate well off the corner. That's what Earnhardt did to Brett earlier in the race, and you just saw Jack Ingram make a move the same way.
Earnhardt around Robert Ingram Jr. But look how low he's running on the inside of that racetrack, though. He is clearly, even to the naked eye, without the benefit of stopwatches, he's getting around here a whole lot better than most anybody else.
That seems to be the groove at Richmond, is really low in that first corner, and you see a white line that is supposed to be the bottom of the racetrack, but we even go below that line sometimes. And there's Dale Jarrett coming back up through the traffic. Keith's car looks like it's running quite well.
Look at your brother. He's back out there. Brett Bodine and the Thomas Brothers machine. Kind of looks like one of the modifieds he's used to driving back home near Chemung, New York.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Brett probably feels right at home when he can see those front tires sticking out. I'm sure he wishes the fenders were still on that 00, but he's going to try to ride around, I guess, Eli, and gather up as many points as he can for that championship.
Dale Earnhardt there, the number 8 car. He works around the 08 of Orville Reedy carefully.
Dale's car really looks good out there right now, but I'm just wondering if he might be running the car too hard, Eli. He's pulling away from everybody. He could be wearing his tires down, and there's Robert Ingram Jr. with a right front flat coming into the pit area.
Yeah, still a lot of racing yet to go here. We are still far from settling this story here. Now you see they can't get the jack under the car. Jack Mansell has helped me out here, and they're going to have to pick the car up physically. There's Earnhardt's crew. Routine stop here for Earnhardt.
Changing right side tires. The tires are critical here at Richmond, so they're going to take advantage of their stop on the green and put 2 fresh tires on the right side of the car. That should pick Dale's lap speeds up quite a bit for probably 10 or 15 laps.
Meanwhile, Elton Sawyer right there has reassumed, or I should say assumed, the lead for the first time today. He is the 3rd different leader. Brett Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, now Elton Sawyer from Virginia Beach, Virginia. A hot shoe at Langley Speedway in Hampton. and many of the tracks that play host in years gone by to the late model stock cars of NASCAR. He was a regional champion on the Winston Racing Series, and you'll be hearing a lot more. And there's Larry Pollard. Larry Pollard carrying our in-car camera, and he has a problem coming off the corner, but he's obviously out of everybody's way, out of harm's way. There's the view that Larry has, looking at the oncoming traffic, had anybody been in the immediate area.
Yeah, that's a view you don't like to see, Eli. You're looking at those cars coming off the corner right at you. That's kind of scary.
They're going to put out the caution here for Larry Pollard's car, though he pulls away. This is the 6th caution flag of the afternoon. Don't you go away. We welcome you back to Fairgrounds Raceway, Richmond, Virginia. SETN's coverage of the Freedlander 200. I'm Eli Gold with the Daytona 500 champion of 1986, Jeff Bodine. Dr. Jerry Punch is on pit road. And after the series of pit stops, car number 2, L.D. Ottinger of Newport, Tennessee. The lead over Tommy Houston, Larry Pearson, Dale Earnhardt, and Jack Ingram. So now, Jeff, on this restart, Earnhardt's going to have to work his way back through the middle of the pack, and L.D. is out to a quick start.
That's tough here at Richmond, Eli. Boy, it's narrow, it's slippery. Not a lot of good racetrack here to race on. Dale has gotten by quite a few cars already. He's up in 3rd or 4th place right now, and right behind Larry Pearson. He's got his work cut out for him. Those boys ahead of him are tough, and they want to get all the points they can, so they're going to try to keep that Winston Cup star behind him if they can.
You mentioned Winston Cup star. That's the ongoing discussion. The Winston Cup driver campaigning on a Busch Grand National Series event. Positives, negatives, they've both been played out, and you've been on both sides of that. You've been there when the big guys have come down to try and take your money, and you've also been one of the big guys going in to try and take the money.
Oh, that's right, Eli. And there's Earnhardt getting around Larry Pearson. And when you come to a short track like Richmond, I think things are pretty equal. The experience of the Winston Cup driver doesn't really come into play like it does maybe at a Charlotte or a Daytona track. There, the Winston Cup drivers, I think, have an advantage over the Busch Grand National guys. They have more experience, maybe a better crew. They can set their cars up better. They know more about the racetrack. But when you get here at Richmond, you can throw all that out the window. This is a short track, bumping, shoving. These fellas race on short tracks all summer long, where we in the Winston Cup division, we don't race on that many short tracks. So these fellas might even have an advantage over the Winston Cup guys when they come to a place like Richmond.
Dale Earnhardt closing in a bit more on car 2, L.D. Ottinger, former series champion in this division for NASCAR. Tommy Houston, car number 6 and 2nd. Then Earnhardt, look how low he goes, actually below the white line going into the corner. That's where he's making up as much time as anything else.
Well, that's where you make it up. These cars are pretty much equal down the straightaways with the V6 engines now. You've got to make up your time and your speed in the corners. And of course, Dale has a couple fairly fresh tires on the right side of that car, so that's going to give him a little edge in the corners. And I can't believe he's trying the high side of Tommy Houston and L.D. Ottinger. That is a hard way to get around this racetrack.
They always say, don't try. I remember they said the first time you talk about Brett Farmer, they say, was don't try and pass Brett Farmer to the outside. You don't want to try and pass anybody outside on the short track, but if you're hooked up the way Earnhardt is, he's making it pay off. You see Charlie Luck, car number 45, limping around just ahead of the race leaders.
Of course, if you're in front of a guy like Earnhardt right now, you don't care if he gets on the outside of you on a track like Richmond. You can race him hard. If you got that inside line, you can usually hold the guy off if he tries the outside move. So Tommy Houston and L.D. Ottinger, they're just looking in the mirror. Tommy better keep it a little lower than that or he might get underneath him. But as long as he's on the outside, all he's doing is heating his tires up, wearing his tires down, and eventually he's going to slow down. But Eli, Tommy's getting too high. They're getting into the corners. I think Earnhardt's going to make a run to the inside here in a lap or two if Tommy keeps doing that.
He's also a master of making the other guy use his car up more than he probably wants to. I dare say Tommy's looking as much into the rear view mirror as he is out the windshield of his car right now. Larry Pearson is in 4th, holding tightly there. Dale Jarrett is still in 5th, and those front 5 cars have, for the moment, pulled away with lap traffic behind them, now separating them from the rest of the pack. If you're just joining us, we are in Richmond, Virginia. Looks like a little smoke there from L.D. Ottinger's car. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Might have been tire smoke. You do see a lot of that. And again, Earnhardt trying to make a move inside of Tommy Houston, but he couldn't quite pull it off.
Dale's working hard trying to make a move on Tommy. Now he's going a little high, trying to see if he might be able to get around the outside, but he slides back. I think he sees that isn't the way to go. He's going to try that inside move, I think. There he goes again to the inside, but not quite enough room.
L.D. Ottinger continues to lead. Tommy Houston is second. Dale Earnhardt is third. Jerry Punch is going to be checking on that smoke. Every time he goes through the corner, car number 2, L.D. Ottinger, we see some smoke, and it's so difficult here to tell whether it's tire smoke or something from the rear end. There it is again, and that one's getting a little bit more pronounced now. I would venture to guess it's more than just tire smoke for L.D. Ottinger. We'll get an update on that in just a second. Ottinger leads. Tommy Houston is second. Earnhardt still in third spot. Let's go down to the Ottinger pits. Jerry Punch is there with his crew chief.
Possibly a serious problem on the L.D. Ottinger car. This is crew chief Elvin Rector. Elvin, a lot of smoke coming out of the car. What's the problem?
I believe it's the rear seal leaking.
You think he can finish the race?
If it don't get no worse.
Well, that's Elvin Rector, veteran crew chief for L.D. Ottinger, currently leading here in Richmond, but it could be a problem. The rear end's starting to leak. Got a lot of smoke coming from beneath that Pontiac.
And to really put a strain on the cars here at Richmond, too. A lot of folks tend to think it's, short track. The speeds down the straightaways are 120 or so, and the corners lower than that. But you put a pretty good strain on a car here.
Well, and especially in that rear end area, the seals, the grease, you run a lot of gear ratio here on a short track, like a 600-to-1 gear ratio. That really generates a lot of heat when you accelerate, decelerate down these straightaways. The rear end grease gets extremely hot. That's when you have a problem with a rear end seal leaking, not holding that grease inside the rear end. It spills out, it smokes, it gets onto the brakes of the car, and you might even see a flash fire back there if too much grease gets out there on the brakes.
Good battle for 4th and 5th behind these front 3 cars. Larry Pearson and Dale Jarrett still going at it. We'll update you as they continue. Tommy Houston still managing to hold off Dale Earnhardt. Driver from Kannapolis, North Carolina. There's Dale. And now he makes the inside bid on Tommy Houston, but can't quite get the grab off the corner.
A lot of racetrack going into the third corner here at Richmond. There's an apron where you drive into the pit area, and Dale is using that to try to get underneath Tommy, and he's sticking his nose up inside down his back straightaway too.
Close again. Look as though Tommy was giving L.D. Ottinger a little bit of room that time. That smoke continuing from the rear of the Ottinger machine.
But it's an exit turn 4 at Richmond. That extra racetrack, that pit road disappears, Eli, and whoa, Tommy got a little sideways there.
That's all it took, a little opening, and not only does everybody get by, but Houston can't get back in line. Larry Pearson and Dale Jarrett get by before Tommy Houston gets back in sync, so he'll drop 3 positions, possibly a 4th here at Richmond.
Boy, that was a costly little slip, and that's all it takes here. It's just one little slip. You can go from running 2nd to 5th real quick.
The lead continues to be battled for. Dale Earnhardt continues to show out in Virginia. That's how it stands right now in the Freedlander 200 for the Busch Grand National cars. L.D. Ottinger, Dale Earnhardt, Larry Pearson, Tommy Houston, and Elton Sawyer, the top 5. I'm Eli Gold with Jeff Bodine and Dr. Jerry Punch, and there is the leader, L.D. Ottinger. Whatever that problem was, Jeff, from the rear end of the car earlier, obviously not enough to keep him at bay, and there's Dale Earnhardt still trying to close in and grab the lead.
Well, LD's running really strong. It looked like at one point there he slowed up a little bit, but he seemed to have his speed and his handling back, and Dale Earnhardt's just back there trying to reel him in, and there you see the 0-0 of Brett Bodine in between them.
Larry Pearson there ahead of Dale Jarrett and Tommy Houston. And Dale trying to make an outside move, and it may cost him. Tommy Houston's trying to sneak to the inside of the Nationwide Pontiac. There again is the race leader. That's one thing here. Not only do you have to be concerned about making the pass, but like Dale Jarrett may learn here, you have to be concerned not to leave the opening for the other guy to the inside. And look at Dale. He'll try and just go to the outside of everyone and pass Larry Pearson.
Well, he looks strong up there on the outside. Like I said before, that's a hard way to get around this racetrack. And Tommy Houston is trying to follow him around, Larry Pearson. And he's outside of Larry right now. Looks like he's going to get him.
Dale Jarrett showed some strength. There's Dale Earnhardt closing in on L.D. Ottinger. The car just ahead. The yellow and black car is the leader. Meanwhile, there's an ongoing battle for third, fourth, and fifth positions. Dale Jarrett has it. Then Tommy Houston and Larry Pearson. This is turning out to be a heck of a show here today.
It really is, and you can see the gap between L.D. and Dale Earnhardt is closing up. Dale is reeling him in, and we're liable to see a real good race coming up between those two. Every lap, Dale gets a little bit closer. It looks like his car's running a lot lower in the corners than LD's.
Been the story much of the day. Average speed at this juncture, 55.688 miles an hour. But again, remember, we have had 6 caution flags and that red flag period already to count. And here's trouble off the corner. Larry Pollard spins. Second time Larry has caught the wall. And you see the caution flag now for the 7th time today. So caution on the speedway. Larry Pollard, who carries our C-Cam, the in-car camera today.
He's giving that camera a test, isn't he, Eli?
He is. Takes a licking and keeps on shooting. Close enough. But oh, Dale Jarrett. Dale Jarrett spins as he tried to take the Highland Road around the outside. L.D. Ottinger and Dale Earnhardt right there. Comes out in front of the leaders, though.
Well, what they were doing is racing back to the yellow flag, Eli. Dale Earnhardt was going inside of L.D., and it looked like Dale Jarrett was going to try to go outside, and they touched, and Dale spun around.
There's the race leader, L.D. Ottinger, and Dale Earnhardt. They had been battling for first and second. Again, under the 7th caution flag of the day. And the Larry Pollard car sans right rear tire. A look from within the car. Been a tough day for Larry. This is the 3rd caution flag in which he has been either involved or the direct cause. Jerry Punch is down there in the Larry Pollard pit area. Jerry, what's the story?
Larry Pollard's car number 98 in the pits during this caution flag. He had a shredded right rear tire. They have changed the right rear tire, and now the crew, the Nally Carolina Trucks crew, trying to beat the sheet metal off of the right rear so they can get him back out of his Pontiac. Larry Pollard, who carries the in-car camera for Special Events Television Network, getting a cool drink as they're trying to finish the service on this car. The signal from NASCAR, next time we'll be back under green, so they're trying feverishly to get this car back out, as Pollard now still sitting in the car, a victim of a shredded right rear tire.
I guess we've all seen days like that.
There must be a problem there, Eli. They're not going to put the tire on. They're going in there making an adjustment. A trailing arm or a shock or a spring might be out of position. They're going to try to fix it before they send him out.
Well, back to go green flag racing, as Jerry mentioned. L.D. Ottinger. Dale Jarrett to his inside, trying to get back on the lead lap. Looks as though Dale's going to do it if he can hold the inside groove. He does. Car number 32, Dale Jarrett. And look at right behind him, Dale Earnhardt. Moves to the inside of L.D. Ottinger, snookers him right by there and takes the lead. Zigging and zagging down the back straightaway, trying to outmaneuver one another. And that's the story. Jarrett is back on the lead lap in car 32, the tail end of the lead lap. And now you've got the Earnhardt car leading, L.D. Ottinger being dropped back to the 2nd spot. Tell you, Dale Jarrett did a heck of a job there on that restart, and that's tough to do. Now he's got to try and hold the Wolves at bay.
He knows Dale Earnhardt wants to put him down a lap. Dale is doing everything he can, and there he gave him a little bump. He's trying to get back ahead of Dale and get him down a lap. There's a spin up in turn 3 and 4.
Darrell Lax and Ronnie Silver. Lax and Silver coming off the wall. Now let's see if Dale Jarrett can stay ahead of Dale Earnhardt and get himself back on that lead lap. Lax, car number 64, heading down pit road past the Tommy Ellis car. Jerry Punch, what happened?
Excited here in the Nationwide pits for Dale Jarrett, the young driver. He's just going around the leaders, Dale Earnhardt and L.D. Ottinger, to get his lap back. The caution flag comes out, and now Jarrett is back on the lead lap. He comes in as crew chief John Irvin makes a chassis adjustment on the car. They give him something cold to drink and check over the tires. Jarrett may just have a shot. He picked up his first ever Buschcraft National win 3 weeks ago at Orange County Speedway.
Look at that car, Eli. It's battered and banged. His crew chief was reaching in there trying to put a little wedge into the car.
We'll find out what happens.
Out of that young driver, he got his lap back, and now you've made a stop. He's got a shot at victory.
Yes, Jerry, we worked hard. He's drove hard to get his lap back, and we're back in the same lap behind. It was a little loose, so we're out now after him. We're going after him, bud.
Well, they've served warning. The Nationwide Pontiac is on the move.
John Irvin, he's an excitable guy. They work hard in that crew, they really do. Well, back to green. And now the story is, who can he keep whom at bay? Well, we get one of the answers right off the bat. No one can put the reins on Dale Earnhardt. He and L.D. Ottinger quickly through the pack. Dale Jarrett's going to have to work his way back up through race traffic. He's about 8th in line right now. Haskell Willingham heading down towards the pit area as Earnhardt continues to streak away, and his car's been hooked up all day long.
He still is running the low groove, Eli, and that tells me that his car's handling. The car wiggles a little bit off the corner, but you expect that here at Richmond, and he just is pulling away, and L.D. Ottinger is doing all he can to stay up there, but you can see Tommy Houston right behind him right at the moment, trying to put a move on L.D. L.D.'s been going a little high in the corners all day long, and that should leave an opening for Houston. Let's see if he can take advantage of it.
Dale Earnhardt, as you see, better than a 2-second lead now on L.D. Ottinger, Tommy Houston, then Jack Ingram next in line, Elton Sawyer, then the lapped car of Bosco Lowell, Larry Pearson, and Dale Jarrett.
Boy, those cars are weaving and swerving and sliding all over the place. Their tires are hot and wore down. That track's slippery, and Houston gets underneath the LD and a little bumping and shoving, but that's part of the game, and LD came out on top. That's surprising. Tommy had the inside line. I figured he'd get by him right there.
Trying to root each other out of there, a little pushing and shoving that time. You look at this field as it goes by. Most everybody's got the battle scars today. Many from that caution flag back on lap 63 when 11 cars were involved in a skirmish on the front straightaway. Again, L.D. Ottinger and Tommy Houston. Oh, twice they come together, and Houston gets kicked to the outside. 4 cars will go by, and Pearson, along with Jarrett, may also get by. Something had to give there, Jeff.
Well, yeah, that outside is a tough way to go around, and LD just slid Tommy up a little bit, and 4 or 5 cars went by. Tommy's got his hands full now trying to work back by those guys, but look at that Dale Jarrett. He's right up there back in the hunt. His crew chief said they're going for it, and it sure looks like he is right now.
Meanwhile, while we watch this battle for second on back, Dale Earnhardt is in another area code by now. He has pulled off to a 4.5-second lead on the pack.
There goes Dale Jarrett under Elton Sawyer down the back straightaway. It looks like he has the groove. There's Earnhardt. Nobody knows where he's at. He's just out there riding around, I believe, Eli.
And doing it awfully well. Elton Sawyer losing his spot to number 32, Dale Jarrett. Two of the fine young drivers on the tour, and there's L.D. Ottinger running in second spot, car number 2 at the head of that particular pack. L.D.'s been around a long time. When this was the late model Sportsman division, he was a champion numbers of years ago.
I don't think there's anyone any tougher than L.D. Ottinger, especially on the short tracks. So like you say, he's been around a long while, and we'll see just how good Dale Jarrett is. He makes an inside move down that back straightaway, but nothing there. Earnhardt, he just meanwhile cruises around, and boy, that's the position we all like to be in as drivers, just out there riding around with nobody chasing us, nothing to do but keep the car out of the fence between the white lines.
You know, there are few enough laps left in this event where it may not be a factor, but I had a driver tell me once that he would occasionally like a little pressure out there because he said you can often make a mental mistake. Jack Ingram with a problem. He gets kicked to the outside and will have a couple of cars go by him. But a guy told me, he said he'd like every now and then somebody there so as to keep you fresh. He said he can make a mental mistake if he just out there leading by 5, 8, 10 seconds, whatever.
Well, that can happen. You get bored a little bit, your mind wanders, you start hearing noises, and there's Dale Jarrett and LD getting together a little bit, getting a little sideways. But so when you got competition, when you got somebody racing with you, you don't hear all those noises, you don't feel all those vibrations. It's a little more comfortable maybe, but I'll tell you, Eli, I'd like to be out there about 2 or 3 laps ahead in any race. I don't care. I'll feel the vibrations. I'll hear the noises.
You'll just tell your crew chief, Gary Nelson, to talk to you every lap on the radio, if nothing else.
That's right. I do that every once in a while. I like to hear Gary's voice.
There's Dale Earnhardt. Now, this is not a car prepared by his Richard Childress Winston Cup crew. This is out of Dale Earnhardt's own garage with his own crew. Yes, he does get at the track assistance from some of the Childress team, but it's basically an Earnhardt production. There's the ongoing battle between L.D. Ottinger, who has the outside, and Dale Jarrett. That's for second place, a super battle. Looks as though Dale's going to make the move this time with the Nationwide Pontiac, and there's touching again as Bosco Lowe at the nose of his Ryder Floor Stores machine in there.
What a great move. Dale came up behind LD, just gave him a little nudge, got him a little out of position down that front straightaway, got underneath him going to the first corner, and there he is ahead of him right now. What a great move. No big pushing or shoving, just enough to get that car out of position so he could make his move.
The lap's winding down here in Richmond, Virginia. If you're just joining us, this is SETN's presentation of the Freedlander 200 for the Busch Grand National Series cars of NASCAR. There's Dale Earnhardt. He assumed the lead on lap number 150, and he has been untouchable since then. But the battle for second you see there right on back. Second through sixth place still very much up for grabs here today.
That's some great racing. Whoa, Dale Jarrett gets a little sideways. He's pushing that car right to the limit to stay ahead of those other fellas, and I'm sure he'd like to see a caution now and catch up with Dale Earnhardt, but right now he's got his hands full with L.D. Ottinger.
Earnhardt continues to lead. The average speed, 58.264 miles an hour. We have had 8 caution flags and still racing to go, so we hope you can stay tuned. We're coming back with the concluding laps of the going the way here at Fairgrounds Raceway in Richmond. L.D. Ottinger is in second. His car is all over the racetrack. He's been up high, down low. Jerry Punch, have you got an update from his pit area as to whether L.D. has a problem?
L.D. Ottinger currently the second place car, trying to hold on the second spot. They think they may have a tire going down, a right rear tire. They did not make a scheduled tire change here during this race. They are trying to finish, trying to hold on to second place and hold off the likes of Tommy Houston and some of the other cars back in the field. So Ottinger trying to last these final 15 laps with possibly a right rear tire going flat.
All right, thank you. That's Dr. Jerry Punch. Now, car number 11, Jack Ingram, is a lap down. Number 2, L.D. Ottinger, is in second. Number 6, Tommy Houston, is in third. Number 21, Larry Pearson, is fourth. So the green car, number 11, the Skoll machine, is a lap down. Jeff, when a guy puts on new tires at a track like Richmond, as Ingram will get by Ottinger here, how long does it take those tires to start getting to where some of the other ones are? How long do you really have an advantage with new tires as opposed to what LD's running now?
The first 5 or 6 laps, it feels like you have a new race car, Eli. The car really sticks to the racetrack. The next 5 or 6 laps, it starts sliding a little bit. The next 10 laps, you know, the car is getting back to the same feel it had before you put the tires on. But if a car is out there like LD's, has run all day on the same tires, now his tires are real bad. Earnhardt had changed 2 right side tires, so right now his car's feeling pretty good to him. But LD is really on some slippery tires, hot tires, and on this slippery track at Richmond, he's got his hands full. The other fellows that have changed tires, they're in a lot better condition. Their car feels better. They can run lower on the track normally. They can do more with the race car. LD is working real hard trying to stay ahead of these fellas. It's going to be interesting to see if he can do it.
Other cars running up among the lead include Dale Jarrett. There is the leader, Dale Earnhardt. Tommy Houston, Larry Pearson, Ronnie Silver, Elton Sawyer, and that man, L.D. Ottinger, still holding off Tommy Houston. That's going to be a heck of a battle down to the stretch if L.D. can keep his car pointed in the right direction. Houston trying to make a bid each time into the corner, and I'm really surprised he's not been able to get by yet.
Well, that's right. L.D. has been running high today. Unlike Dale Earnhardt, Dale has been running low. L.D. has been running a little on the high side, and Houston usually can find that hole, can find that little gap to sneak his car in there and get by on the inside. We'll just have to wait and see if LD slips up a little too high and lets Tommy underneath. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt just cruising around.
He's already got 6 seconds of an advantage over that battle for second place on back. And that's one thing, too, when guys start battling for position, it also allows the guy who's leading, in this case Earnhardt, to pull away if he doesn't have to contend with somebody else.
Well, that's right. You know, Dale is still running very quick down the straightaways. His speeds are up over 100 miles an hour. His overall lap speed might not be as fast as what they qualified, but when you get cars running side by side or dicing for a position, their overall speed really drops off tremendously because they're trying to run low, hold their car down low, not make that mistake. They can't run all out. There's
brother Brett
Bodine in his modified being lapped again. I'm surprised he's still out there, but...
Well, you know something? He's there. Jack Ingram's a lap down, and finally Tommy Houston getting around L.D. Ottinger there, car number 6, making the move into second place. Ottinger is now third, Larry Pearson fourth, Dale Jarrett fifth, but Ingram is still out there a lap down. Brett's out there a number of laps down, and Larry Pearson is on the lead lap, and that point championship could well go down to the season's final event in Martinsville, Virginia. The way it's stacking up now, they're out there getting as many points as they can. L.D. Ottinger. You hate to say it was coming, but I'll tell you, and he continues around, and the car never went all the way around on him either.
No, he did a great job of saving and keeping out of the wall, but Larry Pierce got into LD a little bit, turned him a little sideways. I'm sure LD was doing all he could to hold Larry back, and there's Dale Earnhardt going around some more lap cars, Jimmy Hensley right behind him. But that was a good bit of driving by LD not to get into the fence and keep on going.
Going around the 6th place runner, Elton Sawyer. So now there are just 5 cars on the lead lap with 4 laps to go. That tells you the kind of pace that Earnhardt has been setting. We've got him at 9.75 seconds now, the advantage over that second place battle. You got to hand it to Earnhardt. His car's worked flawlessly all day.
They've done a great job. You mentioned before, that isn't his Winston Cup crew that works on that car. That's Dale's car. That's his team car. There's 3 laps to go. He's way out in front. To come to a short track and run and dominate like he's done today, you know, I take my hat off to him. I've tried to do it before, Eli. I've gone back to these short tracks and tried to run. It's tough just to do it once in a while, but he's done a great job today.
Couple of laps to go. You know who is technically listed as the owner of that car?
I think I know, but go ahead and tell me.
Dale's wife, Teresa.
That's right.
She is listed as the car owner of number 8, Teresa Earnhardt.
We like to get the ladies involved. You know, my wife, Kathy, is deeply involved in my racing. Teresa is involved with Dale's. All the Winston Cup drivers' wives pay attention to what their husbands are doing. 1 lap to go. I think he can close from here and get it.
I would think so. Bobby Scruggs gave him that flag. 1 to go. Now just a half lap remaining. It's been all Dale Earnhardt. Dale Jarrett right now is in second spot. L.D. Ottinger third. Tommy Houston fourth. Off number 4, and the checkered flag for Earnhardt as he waves to the crowd here at Richmond. Second place, some 10 seconds behind as they will work their way back to the stripe. And we'll show Dale Jarrett holding off Tommy Houston, Larry Pearson, and Ronnie Silver. But for Dale Earnhardt, an impressive victory. Not just a win, but an impressive one here in Richmond. Jerry Punch will be in victory lane, hopefully with you. Camera crew, it's a wrap. And quite a day it was. Jeff Bodine for Dale Earnhardt. He is now in victory lane with Jerry Punch.
Dale Earnhardt climbs out of the Goodrich Chevrolet, gets a kiss from wife Teresa and car owner. And Dale, congratulations on a super win today.
Thank you. You know, the Fisher engineer and V6 Chevy really ran good today. And you know, Goodrich and Wrangler and all the folks did a good job with the sponsoring, getting us ready to get us coming up here and everything. And my guys that work on this car all the time back in Kannapolis and all my friends back in Kannapolis did a real good job preparing this thing. They worked awful hard on it, and you know, it's good that they do all the work, and then we come and run as good as we did. We had Kirk and Kirk Sherman and Lynn to change the tires today, and we tried to get enough lead on that one time to stop on the green and get tires and not lose that lap. I think we did pretty good.
There were a lot of close calls out there, a lot of framming and bamming, but you were able to miss all that and survive. It looked like it was a pretty rough day out there.
Well, it was close. You know, it's always close here at Richmond, and they blocked the track at one time and put out some good cars, but, you know, other than that, it was a pretty good day.
Did they tell you that Dale Jarrett had passed a lot of cars and was making a move on you toward the end? Were you concerned, or you felt like you probably had enough lead you could hold him off?
I was just running my pace, saving my car and my tires, and if he'd have caught me, we'd have had the race. But I had some left at that time. I didn't see no reason in running and punishing it. We'd blistered the tires, well, not blistered them, but we'd like tore the outside edge up, and the camber wasn't right on the right front, and it like tore the tire up. So, you know, that was a fault of ours, not having the chassis right. But, you know, they come in, we got tires and made a little adjustment, and the car ran good from there on out, and I had a little left. Jarrett had old tires. I think I could have held him off.
Again, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So Dale Earnhardt wins his 4th Busch Grand National win of the year, his 2nd in as many weeks in the Goodrich Chevrolet here at the Richmond Fairgrounds Speedway in the Freedlander 200.
His wife Teresa there with him as well. Jeff Bodine, thank you for your work today and best of luck to you in 1987.
Thank you, Eli. It was an exciting race and a great race for Dale Earnhardt.
And we certainly hope you enjoyed our coverage today from Richmond as SETN congratulates Dale Earnhardt, the winner of the Busch Grand National Series Freedlander 200. This SETN NASCAR Racing Special has been brought to you by Goodyear Eagles. You either have Goodyear Eagles or you need them. And by Quaker State. The big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. And by Champion Copper Plus, the spark plug with the extra margin of performance. And by Aluguard. Look for and buy brands containing the Aluguard premium quality antifreeze formula. And by Mr. Goodwrench. No one knows your GM car better than Mr. Goodwrench. No one. Special ground transportation for SETN provided by Choo Choo Customs Incorporated, Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm Eli Gold with thanks to Dr. Jerry Punch and Jeff Bodine for coverage today. Our executive producer is Jim Wigglesworth. Today's coverage of the Freedlander 200 produced by John R. Lewis. Don't forget, join us throughout the year for coverage of NASCAR racing and the automotive scene in general with This Week in Motorsports right here on your SETN station. And do join us again for the final event of the Busch Grand National Series, the GN Championship 200 from Martinsville, Virginia, as Jack Ingram, Brett Bodine, and Larry Pearson continue to battle for the series championship. Today's final standings include Dale Earnhardt ahead of Dale Jarrett, Tommy Houston, Larry Pearson, and Ronnie Silver finishing in 5th. Jack Ingram continues to lead the point series ahead of Brett Bodine, 93 points back. Larry Pearson, 9 points further behind. Have a very happy holiday season, everybody. For the SETN crew, I'm Eli Gold.